Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. Manchester United officially announced Matheus Cunha. Bruno Fernandes, is he going to leave? Who's going to be his replacement? And Mbeumo news, Gyökeres, Sesko, loads to go through in a packed video. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with Matheus Cunha. So Manchester United has reached an agreement with Wolverhampton Wanderers for the signing of Matheus Cunha. The Brazilian forward signing is subject to visa and registration. The 26-year-old has 13 senior caps for Brazil and in his club career has made 270 appearances, scored 72 goals in the English, Spanish, German and Swiss top flights. During 2.5 seasons at Wolves, Cunha scored 33 goals in 92 appearances. Everyone at United looks forward to welcoming Matheus to Old Trafford. Now, that came from Manchester United official website, so that is the first summer signing on the first day of the transfer window as well, which is super impressive for me because United, as we know, have been notoriously slow when it comes to transfers in the past, so that is a big step in the right direction. In my opinion, I think he's a good player as well. I just hope he can replicate. I hope the coming to United doesn't kind of, the shirt doesn't weigh too heavy on him as well. But by all accounts, he's got quite a good personality and character as well. So hopefully he's the right kind of profile of player to fit in. And yeah, I genuinely excited to see how someone like this, someone with goals and assists and creativity in them, can help us improve our attacking line. Sky Cave said that Manchester United have been impressed with Matheus Cunha's desire to join, whether they had European football or not. And that's another point on him as well. He's decided he wants to come even without any European football. Laurie Whitwell said Matheus Cunha's visa and registration will be completed when he returns from the international break as well. So yeah, all done, all announced, all official, just waiting for the kind of photos and the video and all of that stuff, whether they're going to do that now or whether they're going to wait till next month when the new shirt comes out as well to help with shirt sales. That's something United normally do for commercial reasons as well, but then, we'll have to wait and see. But it's all officially done. It's done, dusted. Don't have to worry about it anymore. He is our player that's been officially done from the club. Smash a like on the video if you're excited to see Matheus Cunha play for United next season, and give us your thoughts on the signing in the comments below as well. Now, could it be a case of one in and one out this week for United? Because there has been a shit ton of Bruno Fernandes talk over the last few days. I did say on Wednesday, if you watched Wednesday's video, that I was away for a few days over the weekend. And normally when I'm away, something kind of goes on or something happens. I don't necessarily think it's necessarily breaking news, but, Cunha officially announced. And then we had an explosion of Bruno Fernandes talk regarding his agent being in Saudi and bits as well. So let's run through. I'm going to kind of summarize more for those who haven't seen it. If you have seen it, this might be a reminder for where we are, and I'll give you the updates at the end. But also from my perspective, just so I know, I've kind of brought you all the kind of latest, and I haven't kind of missed out too much of what's been going on. So firstly, Ben Jacobs said that Bruno Fernandes' agent, Miguel Pino, met with Al-Hilal president Fahid bin Nafal in Riyadh last week. The talks deemed productive, focused on securing marquee signings ahead of the Club World Cup. Hilal requested a decision from Fernandes within 72 hours and is still waiting his response, with sources indicate that he has not yet rejected their offer and efforts are ongoing to gain his approval. So Ben Jacobs, who's normally a hit and miss journalist, but is actually fairly decent when it comes to Saudi Pro League signings and stuff as well. So Bruno Fernandes' agent has been in Saudi having talks with the president of Al-Hilal. So we know that that is correct, and there's photos online of him kind of doing that as well. Sky Cave said that Al-Hilal are ready to submit a £100 million offer to Manchester United for Bruno Fernandes. Ben Jacobs also said that Al-Hilal will pay whatever it takes if they get the green light from Bruno. From my sources, the opening bid is around €100 million. They are not ruling out that becoming £100 million, and they're not dismissing the fact it could break the British transfer record. Al-Hilal are ready to pay whatever Man United want to sign Bruno. Fabrizio Romano said that there's an offering of a 4-year contract. Bruno's agent's been in contact with Saudi since Monday. All roads are pointing to this kind of, there's no smoke without fire when it comes to Bruno and the Saudi move. A good Saudi Arabian journalist that's good with Al-Hilal as well said pending confirmation, Al-Hilal has agreed on the contract details requested by Bruno's agent and will get a final answer from Bruno regarding the offer. Apparently they want a decision by Friday. Bruno Fernandes is given serious consideration to an approach from Al-Hilal, with talks continuing in Saudi Arabia. Al-Hilal is said to be prepared to pay £80 million to Manchester United for Bruno Fernandes. That came from Laurie Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell, Fabrizio Romano, Ben Jacobs is good with Saudi sources. There's been loads. The Independent, The Times, ESPN, absolutely everybody is going nuts on the Bruno Fernandes to Saudi kind of sources. And then that brings us up to the latest. So just to kind of summarize, Bruno Fernandes' agent has been in Saudi having talks. We know that this story has not been dismissed as in the past, or if anything, it's escalating to the point where you're like, well, hold on, this might actually kind of happen. But then also, the fact that the Saudi pro leagues are prepared to pay whatever it wants. What Ben Jacobs was saying was interesting on that, though, was effectively that as soon as they get the green light from Bruno, the way they do their transfers is they'll get everything agreed with the player, and then they go to the club and just keep making bids and keep making offers and offers and offers until they get to the point where the club can't refuse it neither as well, which is insane. But then if you've got the cash to do that, why not? So there is expected to be some kind of decision. So we'll go through that. So that brings us up to date. So let's go through the latest. So Sam Sear said that Al-Hilal are becoming increasingly impatient surrounding the Bruno Fernandes deal. Bruno has shown signs that he is open to the Al-Hilal project, but obstacles remain and no formal answer has been given. Yet, one of the obstacles might be this. So Ben Jacobs said that Bruno Fernandes' family still needs some convincing about a move to Al-Hilal, which I suppose is fair enough. And then Fabrizio Romano last night said that Bruno Fernandes' agent is back in Europe and will have contact with United to clarify his future. Al-Hilal see Bruno as the perfect player for their project. They are ready to do anything. And Romano said the same thing. They're ready to pay anything to kind of get Bruno Fernandes to the Saudi Pro League as well. Sky Sports was saying that Manchester United will consider offers for Bruno Fernandes if he expresses a desire to leave. He hasn't communicated his stance yet. United do not want to sell. Amrin wants Fernandes to stay and believes he wants to remain at the club. There is no official offer from Al-Hilal yet. So this is from the club standpoint because, by all accounts, in kind of summary, Bruno's agent had been speaking to Saudi and Al-Hilal regarding going there. By all accounts, that's all been sorted, and they haven't agreed to it, but they've kind of said, okay, yeah, we'll have conversations and we'll listen to what you've got to say and kind of give you our contract situations, and all of that's kind of been decided now. Now Bruno's agent is back in the UK, going to have chats with United. From United's perspective, or from Amarim's perspective, which is important, he would want to keep Bruno Fernandes, of course he would, but from the club's perspective, we don't know yet what they would do if we got a big offer from Bruno. But Charlotte Ducker from The Times said that Ruben Amorim wants to keep Bruno Fernandes, but United would sell Fernandes, if Fernandes indicated that he wants to leave, which is kind of, it's one of these, Bruno. It's a massive amount of money, and he's a massive player as well. He's our best player, our club captain, our leader, and everything like that as well. But at what point does it actually become a business decision? Because if you're getting offered that sort of money, like if it was £40 million or £50 million, then you back the manager, I think, in that opinion. But when you're starting to talk like the sums of money that we are here, 100, 120 plus million, because they might go above that as well if they're ready to break the British transfer record. At what point do you take a step back and say, Amram, look, we want to back you, and we know it's your decision, but this is too good to refuse. It's too good of an offer for a player that's not going to, necessarily be getting better at his age as well. He might maintain where he is now. Is he part of the long-term vision? If we're looking at a 4-year project, by the time that project is done, is Bruno Fernandes going to be the player that he is now? Where's his position in the team and in the system? Do you know what I mean? So many kind of question marks. So at what point do the club just take a step back and say, Amram, look, we want to back you, but too good an offer to kind of refuse, and that's might be what kind of eventually ends up happening. Ben Jacobs, so just to give the final update, said that Al-Hilal now believe an agreement with Bruno Fernandes is close after a week of positive meetings. And as I mentioned before, there is no smoke without fire. You don't get this far into a deal if you're not seriously considering it. And with the sums of money that are on offer, what do we do? What do we do as a club? Because there's so many kind of, I think there's a massive positive for selling Bruno. Obviously, it's pure profit. It allows us to actually have a rebuild. You could go out and get some very, very good replacements, not just with that money as well. But also, I'd like to see, we did sell Bruno for that. I'd actually like us to see us have a proper rebuild as well. And what I mean by that is use some of that money to pay off some of the shit as well that are going to stick around because of their contract mistakes in the past. I'm talking about players like Luke Shaw, for example, that's probably going to stay around because of his contract. Casemiro potentially as well. Rashford, Anthony, Sancho, all of these players that we do want to remove, but we're going to struggle to sell because of their wages and the contracts that we've given in the past. Use some of that Bruno money to pay them off or do something in that regard, or take a PSR hit on those and supplement it with that kind of profit. And then that would actually be, a massive rebuild. It's not just about getting players in, as important that is for me. For me, it's also important to remove the players that have outstayed their welcome at United as well. So I would be kind of doing that. But then on the flip side, Bruno's our best player. He's our captain. If you go through the list of this team, and this would be interesting for you to let me know in the comments, if Bruno is sold, who becomes club captain? Because I think the obvious candidate would be Maguire, but he's in the last year of his contract. De Ligt would be my next kind of choice, but he's only been here a season. Martinez is injured because he would be actually probably my preferred choice, but he's been injured for the last 2 years as well. The pool of players that we could actually give the armband to is not very high. Casemiro, but again, he's in the last year of his contract as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of highlights one of the issues at United when you're thinking in terms of leadership and stuff. Okay, who's the captain after Bruno? I think it would be Maguire, but he's had injury problems this season and he's in the last year of his contract. So, like, that doesn't really, instill confidence in your teammates when you're like, well, hold on, mate, you're gone next year anyway. So, the lack of leadership is it's really, really concerning actually at United when you kind of take a step back and look at it. And then Bruno's obviously our best player as well. And selling your best player is never the right way to kind of go about things. But with this sort of money, it looks likely. It looks likely is what I would say. But I'd love your opinions on the whole kind of situation in the comments because, are you keeping Bruno? Would you sell him? Who's your captain if he does get sold as well? We'll go through replacement options and you can kind of let us know further into the video who you're thinking about replacing Bruno with as well. Oh, is Cunha Bruno's replacement? I was thinking that before doing this video. Have we already signed Bruno's replacement in Matheus Cunha because he plays in that kind of left 10 position? Who knows? But give us your thoughts on it in the comments below. We'll know more this week. So let's go through replacements. So Manchester United are lining up Sporting Lisbon's Pedro Gonçalves as a replacement for Bruno Fernandes. Now that came from Sean Mullock in the Mirror, who's actually fairly decent source as well. But I can't see that. We've just signed Cunha. Pedro Gonçalves plays as a left 10, so why would we bring in two left 10s? I know we need rotation options maybe as well as like a backup or, competition, but it's believed the next kind of player that we want to go for, the next position we want to strengthen is actually the right 10, so getting another left 10 in, I would take Gonçalves, but, I suppose competition's not, competitions is what we used to be about, having multiple players for different positions as well. So not a bad kind of shout as well. It's just I think it'd be unlikely that we would prioritise that if Bruno goes, because I think if Bruno goes, we'll look at get a striker, a 10, maybe a midfielder, and actually just go through the rest of the kind of transfers that we've already got lined up anyway, but just get as many of them as we can with the money rather than changing direction in terms of transfer targets. But we'll have to wait and see. Give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now, Manchester United's budget is around £125 million plus, whatever money the club can raise through sales. They want another striker, midfielder, and number 10 with Bryan Mbeumo touted for a move. Now, Mike Keegan's normally quite good when it comes to United finances. A lot of people will go nuts when he kind of reports around the debt payments and stuff like that as well. So if he's coming out saying United's budget is around £125 million plus, whatever money the club can raise through sales. Obviously, we spent £62.5 million on that on Matheus Cunha, so it does give us a bit of wiggle room to maybe get one or two, maybe one player in, because the main ones we're linked with is Gyökeres and Mbeumo. They're both around the £60 million, 50 to £60 million kind of mark, but then it leaves us struggling for the other positions. We'll have to sell players, and obviously that's where the Bruno money would be massive. Obviously, if we sold players like Rashford, Anthony, Garnacho, there's still news about him kind of potentially going as well. Then that gives us the money to then maybe get a midfielder, a new goalkeeper if Bayinda is sold, and so on and so forth. Yeah, remember last year we were getting told we had £40 million to spend and we ended up spending 150 odd million or whatever it was. So, but Mike Keegan's normally quite good when it comes to United financial stuff as well. So we've got a little bit of money, but not hundreds of millions of pounds that's going to need to take to rebuild the squad. But that's where you've got to look seriously at the exits and the sales and the money you can generate there. A player mentioned there is Mbeumo. This is another player we're heavily linked with for the right 10 kind of position. So what's the latest there? So Manchester United remain keen on pursuing a deal for Brentford's Bryan Mbeumo, but they face stiff competition from Champions League bound clubs such as Newcastle United. Sully Talk said that Manchester United and Newcastle have made contact with representatives of Bryan Mbeumo in recent days. That's interesting. Sully's a good source of information for United, saying that we've made contact with his representatives. Both clubs understand the conditions of the deal and also the vast amount of suitors interested. Very early contacts so far, which is interesting that we've made contact with his agent. The Guardian was saying that Manchester United and Newcastle thought to be Bryan Mbeumo's most likely destination. Brentford will not make it easy for any club who want to make a chance or to take a chance on Mbeumo. That is probably in the region of £60 million, with Manchester United and Newcastle thought to be the most likely destination. So Brentford are coming out saying, look, we want 60 million at a minimum for Mbeumo, which is fair enough, I suppose. 20 goal a season, player, consistent Premier League performer as well at the kind of prime age, I think, as well. So, so that golden 60 million, everything seems to be 60 million this summer, which is weird. That seems to be the going rate for players. As well, so and it's believed between us and Newcastle. But Romano has said that Manchester United want to make another offensive signing to play behind the striker. Bryan Mbeumo is a player they very much like, but they face competition from Newcastle and Arsenal. And Morano was saying that are several teams all interested in Bryan Mbeumo, so it's not like a two-horse race. It's going to be one of these, which is where the business side of things. If you take a step back, if we did sell, we could move quickly for Mbeumo. We probably could anyway, because if we've got £125 million, we've got the £60 million left to maybe go for him, but it then leaves us scrambling around for a striker. But if you get that Bruno money in early, because Saudi want that deal done early before the Club World Cup, or Al-Hilal do, it could give you the jump on some of these players as well, and we can then kind of get them in early as well. So, that's another kind of thing to consider when it comes to the Bruno Fernandes decision. Now, in terms of alternatives, if we did miss out on Mbeumo, because it's not guaranteed, we're not that kind of, we're in competition with other clubs, and other clubs might be more of an attractive proposition for players at the moment. We're just going to have to accept that with our situation and our season that we've just had. The Muppeteers were saying that Tyler Dibbling is an alternative to Bryan Mbeumo. The price would be 40 to 50 million pound bracket. United really like him. I think that's still too high for Tyler Dibbling personally. But then when you think about it, he's English, so that adds another 10 million pounds, homegrown. Man United tax as well. So yeah, you're probably talking, I would say 30 to 40 million pounds for me for Dibbling, for the prospect and promising player. But then if you add the £10 or £5 homegrown tax, £5 United, £5 million, sorry, not £5, £5 million United tax and homegrown taxes were probably about right. But I still think that's too high personally for Tyler Dibbling. I think he's got great potential, but it is just that, and that's a lot of money to pay for somebody with potential. Now, another player that actually we've been linked with possibly as an alternative to Mbeumo, if that deal doesn't materialise, is Minter. So Manchester United are interested in signing Yakuba Minter from Brighton. Minter mainly plays as a right winger who cuts inside on his favoured left foot, but United really could shine as a right-sided number 10 alongside Cunha in Amram's 3-4-2-1 system. Now, that came from Stretty News, who are actually fairly decent when it comes to United. Kind of transfer talk and stuff as well, suggesting that maybe Minter from Brighton. But again, I think that would be one that would be massively expensive. 20 years old, 6 goals, 4 assists this season for Brighton. So, and he is a really, really exciting player as well. But again, it's one of these where I think he's going to be too expensive. Personally, I think you're talking maybe more than Mbeumo, possibly, to get him from Brighton, because Brighton don't sell players cheap, do they, as well? But would be another interesting option. We'll wait and see what kind of happens. I would want to see a bit more credibility, though, because obviously it seems like the main target we're looking for is Mbeumo for that kind of right 10 position, which I still think would be madness if we got Cunha and Mbeumo. I think that massively improves our kind of 10 positions in our attack next season as well. But give us your shouts on all of that in the comments below. Now let's move on to striker. So obviously we know the other priority position is the striker. So Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United's dream target in attack is Viktor Gyökeres, but the deal is difficult without Champions League. After missing out on Delap, there are several options and United will make a decision on the first target soon. So Romano saying that we're still potentially in for Gyökeres. He's our dream signing for the attack. But obviously not having Champions League, the fact that there is going to be competition. There was reports the other day that Juventus have started to make contact with his agent. Obviously we know there might be Arsenal potentially interested in him, although it looks like they're tipping more towards Sesko. I heard Chelsea linked with him the other day, which would be, standard, wouldn't it, that they get Delap and Gyökeres from under our noses as well. Brilliant. But yeah, we'll have to wait and kind of see, because he is seen as one of our kind of targets for the striker. It's just, can we get the budget? Because if we've got 60 odd million pound of our 125 million pound left, that's either Gyökeres or Mbeumo without sales. But then it depends on how quickly we could maybe sell a Rashford or sell a Garnacho. We could do both. Like if we could do some exits and sales quite quick, I could see us getting the jump on certain players. But it's United. We can't sell players fast, and that's going to be the problem, I think, this window, where we might lose out on transfers because we're still waiting to sell Rashford because he's on 300 odd grand a week and nobody wants to pay him that. So he's like, well, I'll just sit around and run my contract down, and unless we accept a lower price, it's just going to be a mess and I can't be done with it. But let's give us your thoughts on Gyökeres in the comments. Ben Jacobs also said, if Bruno Fernandes leaves, there is a definite chance of Manchester United moving for Viktor Gyökeres. Obviously, it gives us the money. Gives us the money straight away, though, as well. That's the kind of thing, I think, with Bruno. If we do sell Bruno, at least we've got that cash in. Maybe you can make quick moves while other clubs are still scrambling around, doing the same as us, looking to sell players and stuff. I think it would be a massive advantage. And then some other targets for the striker. So Manchester United are hoping to use the expertise and connections of Christopher Vivell to beat Arsenal to the punch for Benjamin Sesko. So Sesko could be one that we are looking at as well. I do think we're talking to multiple players, just like Delap. Because if we just put all our eggs in the Delap basket, now we're scrambling around. But we know we've had talks with Osimhen, we've had talks about Gyökeres, Sesko, like all these players have been linked with us, and I do think we are in contact with them all. Just purely working out costing and competition, who wants to come, who doesn't want to come, salary demands, all of these things as well. So Sesko could be another one that came from Christian Folk as well. Is actually fairly decent, and is in fact pretty good when it comes to, I would say, more Bayern Munich news. But German news as well, he can be fairly decent as well, so Sesko. But the reports are that Arsenal are kind of keen to go for Sesko. Plus, I did hear somewhere that they want £80 million for him as well, which is insane, because for me, for £80 million, I would be going and getting, you could get Victor Osimhen for about 50, I think Napoli would sell him for, maybe even a little bit less. So let's say 40, and then you could use £40 million of paying his contract off for the next 3 years as well if he wants a ridiculous wage, and that would be the same as what it would cost for Benjamin Sesko. So I would be doing that personally. It's the same outgoing. But yeah, apparently Arsenal are ahead for Sesko. Let's go through some other exits. So Besiktas are keen on signing Casemiro this summer. Ruben Amorim's open to a departure and as he looks to bring in younger profiles in midfield. So Casemiro, that came from a fairly good Turkish outlet as well. Besiktas are keen, but will Besiktas pay him £300,000 a week? And will Casemiro want to go when he's in the last year of his contract, lose £300,000 a week or whatever the drop would be to go to Besiktas, and then also lose his signing on bonuses and stuff? And that's what I was saying before. With the Bruno money, I'd like to see us pay off some of these players and just say, look, go, here's a little bung. There's a little bit of your kind of contract paid off as well, because it helps us not just now, but also for next transfer window and the future transfer windows as well. But we need to kind of keep an eye on that one. And then I'm just going to give you an update on a couple of other players, a couple of other targets. So Manchester City are set to submit their opening bid for Ryan Cherki. Manchester United target next week. So City are moving, by this, according to Romano, potentially for Ryan Cherki. So that could be one that we miss out on, as could Mastantuono. This one will be devastating. Paris Saint-Germain will try to get Franco Mastantuono deal done as soon as Deal done, as talks have been ongoing for weeks. Nothing sealed or agreed yet, but PSG will try to anticipate several top European clubs and sign the Argentine gem, one to watch in the next days or weeks. So according to Romano, Cherki and Mastantuono could be potentially be subject to bids from Man City and PSG subjectively. I mean, PSG have done it right, haven't they, with the young players? This is why argument I said the other day, actually, regarding age of players. I don't care about the age of a player. Are they good players? Because Desiree Dou is a player I wanted last season. João Neves was a player that I wanted last season. It's not about their age, it's about their ability on the pitch. And you kind of look at it and think, well, we've got young players in the squad, but they're nowhere near the quality of those players. And you can see it, and you can see it with your own eyes that they're nowhere near that kind of quality. They might get there, or they might become good players as well, but it's not about age for me. It's about the quality. And if we miss out on, I'd be gutted about Mastantuono. I think he looks an absolutely fantastic player. But you know, it is what it is. We are where we are. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.